I'm going to show you the different ways to play the C chord near the open position. It's a wonderful way to learn for beginners. And I'm also going to show more advanced techniques and some things that are so easy to do. Things like that. And hammer-ons. And a couple of complementary chords. And different ways to make your C come alive. So we're going to cover everything starting right now. Now let's take a look at the C chord. The easiest way to play it is going to be 3 strings. Our first string, second string, and third string. And we're going to put our first finger, here's our first, second, third, and fourth. And we are going to put our first finger on the second string of the first fret, about a little bit forward of halfway between that fret. And we're going to hit those 3 strings. When we go down, we try to hit all 3. We make sure we don't hit the 4th string. I want to move my fingers to make it a little more visible there. When we get up strum, you hit 1 or 2 strings. If you accidentally hit that 4th string, that's what it's going to sound like, and that's a note that doesn't belong. That's a D, which does not belong in the C chord, so it sounds really bad. So try to miss that chord. You can also mute strings, as you may have learned by now. However, a mute is not as good as accurate at strumming and picking, because a mute still makes noise. It's a partial mute. It's not completely muted. So avoid those notes. Even though they're subdued, they can still muddy up your tone. So we don't want to do that. And I recommend that for beginners. The problem with it is the C note itself, in this case, on the second string, is not the lowest note. So normally you're going to play your chords. The lowest note will be your root tonic. So if in this case C, the key note should be on the bottom, and it's not. A bit of a problem. You'll notice that my knuckles are bent here and they're bent there. It's important to really get that bend so your finger goes straight down. The second way to play C is going to be 4 strings. The first 3 strings are just the same as they were, but we're going to add a E. So now we've got 2 E's, a E here and an E here. And we're going to play with our second finger on that 4th string, the 2nd fret. And we're going to strum it down very accurately again. Now that sounds pretty full, almost, but again, we got that problem when that C is not on the very bottom, so it's going to be a little bit leaving us short, but it's very simple to play, and it's not the worst thing in the world if you play it this way. So as you're building up, you may want to start with your first way and then go to your second, and that will work. You can play. And now for the third method of the C chord, the most famous way to play the C chord, and the way I like to play it too most of the time, is going to be the 5-string C. We're playing the first 4 strings just as we have been, and then we're going to add the 5th string and put our 3rd finger on there. Got a lot of bends on my knuckles. I'm going straight down. Now I do have right here, this finger is pushed up against, in case I hit that 6th string, which is supposed to be silent. That's called a mute. Again, a mute is not really a true mute. It is not muted. You can still hear it. So you hear that? It's buried in the background, but it's still there. That's why you want to play your chords cleanly. Hit the 5 strings. When you come up, hit 2 or 3. And there's complete versatility in this chord too, because you can also play alternating bass. Alternate means go from, like for instance in this case, our C note to our G note. See how much very versatile it is. C is such a great chord to really play well. It's a bit stretchy. We can't really get everything right in the middle. You can, I guess, if you got pretty big hands, but it's a problem. So don't worry about it. Just get it on there and ring it. Make sure every string rings free. For method 4C, we're going to play the 5-string C that we just learned, and we're going to replace the 3rd finger with our 4th finger down here and our 3rd finger on top. That's a G note. So we've got our 3rd finger on the 6th string on the 3rd fret. And that's a very full chord, very full, and there's a lot of bass. Good thing is you can play alternating bass real easily with this. And another good thing about it is you can hit all 6 strings. You don't have to try to angle in, and anybody can play that chord. The only things I don't like about it, several things actually, is that's a lot of bass, so your lower end strings are just booming out there. Number 2, our root, which is a C, is not the 1st string played, so it's not the lowest string. I don't like that. And that's the main problems with this C, so I really just can't recommend it. It's also very hard to do a lot of things that I can't go into. It'd be a long video. A lot of things I like to do that this would severely limit me on. So that I just kind of want to leave this one, let it lie. And now that we've mastered C, let's look at a couple of fun things we can do. We can use passing notes on it. That's a passing note combined with alternating bass. We can run the scale on it or down it. Have a lot of fun with that. You can play the C note up high. Down low. Just having a little fun with some scales right there. You can also play minor pentatonic. We're not going to really spend any time on that. Of course, there's C's all over the neck and everywhere. I can find so many C's, but we're working on the open position today. So we've discovered how to run passing notes and use that scale. You can also use hammer-ons. You can work on those hammer-ons. Or you can go, still, actually this is running a scale too. Have you ever seen The Rain, Clean Clearwater Revival? I'm making a shameless plug for that video that I've got up right now. It's really cool. Maybe you should check it out. Now, a couple of complementary chords too. Let's look at that are right there under your fingertips when you're playing C. You've got C, you got C major. All I did was take that one finger off. Took my 1st finger off. C add 9. Put my 4th finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. Beautiful chord, and it goes along well with our C, C major. You can also play it like this. A lot of people in praise and worship play this. It's the same chord, but I've got an added G there. It sounds really nice, and you can play 100 million songs. Well, here's the G, D, some main C's that you can play around with and have some fun with, and they're right under your fingers. And then there's a lot more also, but we're not gonna go into that on this video. And I'd also like for you to stick around and let's work on that C chord together. I got a loop all prepared for you, and you can speed it up and slow it down. It's all about C, but it's mixing with other chords that you will commonly find with your C. So spend a lot of time on it, and check out my other videos on F, on A. Everybody just seems to really love that A video especially. So I hope you check it out and make a comment.